And welcome. We are back with you another Thursday, 8 o'clock. We are on every Thursday at 8 o'clock. Let me tell you, it's good to be here. And I want to welcome all of those who will be joining us and who have joined us so far. I want you to share the live, find somebody and say, listen, you need to be on. This evening, we're talking about an interesting topic, a topic that probably is not known by its formal name, but we might know the concept, and that topic is fobbing. Fobbing. Yes. So let me say welcome to all of you. Glad to have you all on and glad to be here today. I want to thank Sid Gray, Miss Sid Gray, right, Sydney Jones for bringing us live on the program today. So many things happening, so many things happening. If you are on for the first time, I want you to know that one of the reasons that we are on is so that we can develop better relationships among people. Relationships are struggling. People are struggling, and people are walking into relationships that they should not be walking in, and some are walking out of good relationships because they are frustrated and they don't know how to handle it. Purpose of Mike at Night is really focused on these social issues, primarily on relationships, to help you get better. You could consider it counseling. That's what you can very well write it down as. So make sure that you're on every Thursday at 8 o'clock to get your free counseling. It helps you to be able to get some ideas about things that you may have taken for granted. All right, so of course we've got some bills. So let's go there, do that, and right back program. Meanwhile, share the live. This is Mike at Night. Ah.
Don't let the weather of the day dictate your pace. I stayed cool every time I got into my vehicle, and you can too. At Tow School Center of 31 Gaskin Bay Road, Bonaccord, they specialize in auto air conditioning with parts and services catering to your car's needs. Call and ask for tows at 660-8777 or 788-3535. Tow School Center, where a comfortable ride is a cool ride.
Hey, if you are having difficulty in your marriage or in your relationship and you need someone to speak with privately and confidentially, then call me, Michael Stewart. We can do face to face or virtually any part of the world. If your relationship is worth saving, call 868 688 5363 or go to my website www.michaelatstewart.com. Don't wait until it's too late. Get counseling.
Yes, we're back. Let me say good evening to those who just joined us and those who are us regularly. I want to say good evening to Charmaine Boys. Nice having you on. Those of you on Facebook, as we said, try to find somebody and ask them to join us. Alice John, good evening to you. Glenda Allen, Candice Alexander, Patsy Greg, is it? All right. All of you all, we happy to have you. The whole subject of fobbing. I want to bring you a video that will give you an explanation of what fobbing is. Before I go to that, let me ask you to tell me, those of you who are on the Facebook now, how many of you have heard of fobbing? How many of you have heard of the term fobbing? Just talk to me. Yeah? Charmaine, have you heard the term before? What about you, Alice? Glenda? Candice, Patsy, what's up? Have you heard of the term fobbing? Phubbing. Carmen said no. Candy say never. All right. We'll learn something tonight. Mm-hmm. And if you want to call in, you can call in at 868-688-5363. That's a WhatsApp number. You can use that to call in. Glenda says no, she never heard it. And Alice says not only did she never know it, heard of it, she said no, never. Patsy said never heard that before. All right, well, you're going to learn that tonight. So during the program, you can call 868-688-5363 and let's interact on it a bit. And I want to just say that this is something many of us struggle with. Let me ask Sid to go to the first video that should explain to you what fobbing is, so that as of tonight, know for sure right away.
It seems that since the arrival of the smartphone in 2007, we've seen the arrival of a new problem, a uniquely 21st century problem. While the world has gotten a lot more connected, people have become more disconnected, losing the art of conversation and real human interaction. The problem? Ignoring the person in front of you in favor of your smartphone. Just about everyone does it. But if this behavior has become such a big issue, why weren't we talking about it? Well, probably because there wasn't a word for it. Until now.
I don't know if you know what fubbing is.
Is that fubbing? Is fubbing a term you may not have heard of?
Fubbing.
Fubbing.
Almost varying degrees of fubbing.
You've just been fubbed.
Okay, stop. Take a step back. Where do words like this even come from? Where did this one come from? Well, on an otherwise unremarkable day in May 2012, a group of people gathered at the University of Sydney, Australia. Amongst the group was a lexicologist, a phonetician, a debating champion, a poet, several authors, and a cruciverbalist. That's a professional crossword maker. Their mission was to create a word that would get people to put their phones down and get talking to each other again. And so, with a room full of brilliant minds, the search for a word to describe ignoring others in favour of your phone began.
Nubbing, foffing, frolling, igging, exing,
Anothering.
bitting.
Telesnub. And then fubbing. And he's a fubber. And would you stop fubbing me?
The word was released into the wild the following day, seeded into social conversations, and championed by a new movement known simply as Stop Fubbing. From its country of origin it spread, first through the English-speaking world, then Brazil, and right through South and Central America. Europe was next, followed by Southeast and Central Asia. Within a year, over 180 countries were using it.
Fubbing, the war against antisocial phone use.
Why the Stop Fubbing campaign is going viral.
Fubbing can be fatal.
Are you a fubber?
The backlash against fubbing.
Ignoring the person in front of you in favour of your phone was now a behaviour with a name, and a behaviour being questioned right around the globe, all because of a single word. A single word born in a university hall at the bottom of the world. Language is always changing. Update your dictionary.
All right, so let me see how many of you now know what fubbing is. Let me find out from you. Could you just write in the chat for me your own words and your own understanding of what fubbing is? A definition. Create your own words if you want to use that. But just tell me what you understand fubbing is. All right. Good evening, Anne-Marie. Good to see you. We talking about fubbing tonight. You just missed the video that explained what it is, but some of these bright people will explain to you. People like Patsy and Elon and Candice and all of them would explain to you what fubbing is. All right. So I'm standing by for you all to just tell us what fubbing is in your own words. Fubbing. Candice, what's your definition from understanding what the video said? Alice, let's hear from you too. I'm giving you all some time. What is fubbing? If we understand what fubbing is, then we could understand whether we have been fobbed or whether we fob other people. All right, still waiting. Glenda said blanking out the other person. blanking out the other person. All right. Candice said she stepped away for a while. Candice fell asleep, in other words. All right. Fine. No problem. No socializing taking place. Robin. All right. All right. Elon, tell me if you understand what fobbing is in your own words. Meanwhile, I want you to share the line. Spending more time on your phone instead of having a normal conversation. That's what Charmaine said. Okay. That's right. Sandra, Jack, you just joined us. Okay, you missed the video that explained what fobbing is. Good evening to you. Sandra, I tried calling you. Well, I should say I planned. I did not get through. It was busy, but I shall. Yes, anybody else? What is fobbing? What is fobbing? All right. So let me tell you what fobbing is. Fobbing is when you are so preoccupied with your cell phone that you begin to ignore the people around you, relationships around you. You are not connected to the because you are always in this cell phone. Candice says, well, Sandra says ignoring the other person. Candice says, I will assume it means ignoring the other person in your presence and spending time on your phone. That is it. Ignoring the other person in your presence and spending time on your phone. That is it. It came from two words. Alice says ignoring the people you are in favor with or in favor for your phone. That's right. It another way of saying it instead of fobbing is phone snobbing. Phone snobbing. If you want to remember how to what word it is, just remember phone and snob. So it is phone snob. It is phone snobbing. Fobbing. Right? Do you find that people do fobbing in your area in relationships that you have? It doesn't have to only be in a intimate relationship. Relationships generally that people fob you, work, at home, ever gather around the table for dinner or for breakfast, everybody eating and they head down in a cell phone. That is not only snobbing, it is fobbing. In church is going on, and there are people so deep in their cell phone that they don't even hear sometimes when their name is called for one reason or the other. They don't know what's going on, they don't know what's taking place. They are fobbing. How do people feel when they are talking to somebody and what they are saying is important, they think, enough for the person to be listening, but the person is not listening to them? Or they are multitasking. They say that they're listening, but they are multitasking, listening and on their cell phone. So, as an expert in the field of fobbing, I plead guilty. I tend to fob regularly. I have been working on it for some time now. I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I still fob. Sometimes I just feel I need to return this text, answer this email, and somebody is talking to me or or I am in a conversation, holding on to my phone. You go out for dinner with somebody. I've gone to dinner already, and I would watch people across the room, and I would see. I remember seeing a gentleman. He's constantly on his phone, and the lady is there eating, and she would look up. She looks as though she's looking for a conversation, but nothing is happening. And then he would rest down his phone just for momentarily, eat a bit, and go straight back to the phone. And they did that for almost the entire day. I felt guilty. Tried to hide my that look. So the poll question this evening is: have you been guilty of phobbing? I want people to answer the poll question honestly. Right? So that's what it is. I have another video to go to, but let me just give you some information from those who wrote about phobbing and who did the research on it. It's an article by somebody in a psychology article. Amy Beecham. Amy Beecham wrote this and gave some information, and I think this needs updating because the figure that I believe is worse than it is at the time this was written. So what Amy Beecham said in her article, the average person spends, I should ask you to tell me, how long do you think the average person is? That I'll tell you. 3 hours and 23 minutes every day on their cell phone. Thanks. 3 hours and 23 minutes every single day on their cell phone. Now I know that is worse. You pass and you see some security guards, they are supposed to be guarding a property or a compound. And I have found myself walking past these guards and they never saw me enter the compound. They head down in the cell phone. I've gone up to some people in service industry and the person is on the cell phone, barely lift their head to see what is talking to them, not who, what is talking to them, and then go down and whatever response they're giving you, they're giving you the response while they are on their cell phone. And sometimes I'm watching them and they are watching a video. It has nothing to do with it. They are phobbing me. You understand? Phobbing is a dilemma. It is a dire situation. We have become constant with it. It's one of the issues that also, because people give so much attention to their cell phone. Amy Beecham, the person who wrote the article, says people use as much as 50 days per year. 50 full 24-hour days it is calculated that they use on their cell phone. Right, so Sandra said, I find it bad manners, same as if I am talking to you and you're paying attention to someone else at the same time. It is bad manners. Trust me. And Kenneth said, being so absorbed into your device that all else around you is irrelevant. Yeah, absolutely. This constant reach for the cell phone. One of the things I'm trying to do is when I go to dinner and so on, is to just hide the cell. Because I understand from those who have been saying it is such a critical thing that we need to actually put it out of sight, because just to mere rest it on the table sends a signal that you're not that important. I plan to take 30 times during work, people would reach for their cell phone. 58 times in a given day, people will check their cell phone. 30 times during work, an average. And they say it is bad for your eyes, bad for really. Ah boy, we have such problems. Cell phone is licking up our life. You know, so let's talk about probably what we should do is go to the video now, where Simon Sinek is one of the guys that I listen to often. He's such a great teacher of so many issues that lead and Millennium, the Gen Z, Gen X, Millennium generation, etc. So let's listen to that. When we come back, I talk to you some more on this phenomenon, phobbing.
So now we have a young generation
with basically unfettered access to social media and cell phones. We have age restrictions on alcohol, we have age restrictions on smoking, and we have age restrictions on gambling. We have no age restrictions on this other dopamine-producing device called social media or cell phones. It's the equivalent of throwing open the liquor cabinet and telling our young adolescents, I know this is a stressful time, try the vodka, it'll get you through these hard times. That's basically what we're doing. And so what's happening is it's becoming hardwired, where our young generation isn't learning the coping skills and coping mechanisms to turn to another human being when they're struggling or stressed. They're turning to social media or their cell phones. Their self-worth sometimes becomes wrapped up in how many likes they get. They obsessively check how many likes, and actually will get depressed if they don't get any, right? So you take an insecure generation that now, through no fault of their own, struggles to cope with stress. They don't know how to cope with and deal with stress. And as they have told me, many of them will admit that they struggle to form deep, meaningful relationships. They will admit that many of their friendships are superficial, right? That their friends they know would cancel on them if they get a better plan, that they wouldn't really know who to talk to if they get depressed. And maybe they'll turn to an online support group, which is not a real thing. It's not human. Right? And we've seen the impact of this. We're starting to see rises of depression in this generation. We're starting to see rise of suicide in this generation. We're starting to see a rise of accidental deaths due to drug overdose from this generation. Universities are currently dealing with an epidemic that they've never dealt with before, which is the number of kids requesting leaves of absence due to depression. Right? Now, those are all extreme examples. The less extreme and more likely example is that someone will go through life just never really finding joy or fulfillment. And everything's just fine. How's your job? It's fine. How are your friends? They're fine. But no joy, because you just cannot. Because joy, fulfillment comes from this. It comes from human interaction. We are social animals and we need it. And we have to learn to rely on our friends. And that skill is desperately lacking.
Wow. Yes, sir. Simon Sinek. That's what he said. That's the reality of life. Yeah. I see that Kenneth Hodge said that it is addictive. Cell phone is addictive. We could do another program at some other time talking about the addiction of the cell phone, where the cell phone actually keeps you awake longer in the night, gets you up earlier in the day, because that from the time you wake up, you check it. Even if you got up 2 o'clock in the morning to go to the washroom, you check your phone. It is addictive. Now, he mentioned something that I think is pertinent for us to discuss. The children that we give these cell phones to, they become so preoccupied that sometimes you call the child's name. You might have a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old child, and the child is so absorbed in what they're doing on the cell phone or the iPad or whatever it is, that you call the child's name and the child does not hear his or her name. Now, psychologically, if you are in a crowd and someone calls your name, the brain is geared in such a way that it will detect its name, even if you never heard what the conversation was about. So that you'll almost turn around and say, hey, somebody called my name. Why? Because the brain will detect its name. But you will have children so absorbed that they're no longer hearing their own name. The brain it seems not to be able to even detect that they have been called. Yes? Now that is so alarming, and it has serious repercussions for a person's ability to be self-aware, be aware of their surroundings, to be aware of life in general. And then again, we also have our 6-year-olds talking to their parents while they are on school day. How was school today? Not bad, mommy. and they're going on. So tell me what took place. Did you enjoy the day? Yes? And they are busy. You have been fobbed, mom. You have been fobbed, dad. And the teachers are also being fobbed. Let me tell you, just today on the news, there's an inquiry going on, a public inquiry, and there is a commission of inquiry that the government has set up. The chairman of that committee had to upbraid, chastise, berate the people who are to give witness in it because they were supposed to be they're not supposed to be following what's taking place in the inquiry on their cell phone. And there, I think, were three persons which is reputed was busy on their cell phones. And the chairman had to now take and seize their cell phone, put them in separate rooms, and in his words, he said they are like children. To think that he had to come to this point, that children could not take a simple rule as not to use your cell phone. I'm coming off the plane and a gentleman is on his cell phone and the workers there trying to indicate to him, you are not supposed to use the cell phone on the tarmac, sir. He said, I'm off the plane already. Wait for that. And he continued. Yeah, as I said, I know that I am a victim. I know that I am a perpetrator. I know that I have a challenge. I am working. All right. Good evening, Deanne Robinson. Nice having you on. All right. So let me adults also are struggling with this fobbing thing in relationship. You want to have a discussion with your spouse, but you don't think you have the full attention. And sometimes what they do, they ask you again what you just, but you didn't hear clearly, and you have to go for something. Irritating, isn't it? I can imagine. So one of the things that the article said, for those who have studied it, is that it creates bad relations. And besides the fact that it's bad, some people are in bed, lights off, the place is dark. One light shines, gives you a very concentrated, heavy light to your eye, damages your eye. Sometimes even the posture, position you lying down, pains your eye. So, fobbing, ignoring someone in favor of your cell phone, giving your cell phone priority. Someone said that there are more cell phones on earth than human beings. And I believe that because there are some people with 2 and 3 cell phones, one for one service provider, one for another service provider, and one that their job may have given them. 3. And in some cases, which is not unheard of, they do have 4. One for one service provider, one for another service provider, one for the job, and one for that the spouse does not know the number of. So that they would always do their secret clandestine things on that secret phone. Yeah, you tell me. Patsy, let me see what Patsy's saying here. For grandkids, he said, I say that to my grandkids every day. I'm talking and they don't hear me until I start shout at them. 12, 14, and 16 years old. That's right. You know you have a problem when you have to call the name loud so. And it is possible. People have crossed the road while the head still inside of a cell phone. You watch. Many people are on the road in their cell phones, not even seeing where they're going. Some have walked into poles. At the time, sometimes it looks very comical, but it's Kenneth said, we have created and continue to create generations of human drones who detach from reality. Let me tell you how true you are, Kenneth. I had a group of boys and girls, school children, that I had a discussion with. And I was asking the boys, let's do a role play. Let's say there's a school event. These are high school. There's a school event. And you want to take out one of these girls at school. How would you do? My dear people, it was shameful that the guys had no idea how to approach a girl. They didn't know how to stand, they didn't know how to approach her, they did not know what words to use at all. Because now you have to, in language, you have to face the person. One after one, they had no idea. And of course, the girls were laughing. But the girls themselves did not even know how to respond. If they did ask, that was one of the situations because when we did, and I did the role play, seeing that the boys could not make the approach, and I showed them how to approach a girl in decency. The girl had no idea how to. So, what the research is saying that people do not know how to interact is true. The relationship creates a disconnect. And this is what one of the boys told me. After being frustrated, making 2 and 3 tries and not getting it right because he couldn't finish a sentence, if she answered the first part, he did not know what question to go to the next. He did not know what to tell her. He couldn't carry on a conversation that flowed. So it was, what is your name? Let us say she says Susan. So, oh, that is nice. He's lost. He has no idea what it is. So this is what the young man told me. He said, Mr. Stewart, let's do the role play on the cell phone. They are in the same room. He wants me to on the cell phone. He says, let me text her on the cell phone on WhatsApp. And I sure I could have a conversation. And sure enough, of course, with the bad spelling and all of that, but he was more comfortable and other children were more comfortable communicating technology. Now that's a sad reality. So Charmin said, good evening, Wendy Norton. Good to have you on. Charmin says that a child some years ago got knocked down and died because she didn't hear the horn of the truck. Woo! Mercy. And I could imagine that that is something that could really happen. I saw a cartoon where and it was just a cartoon just to show how things. Aliens land on Earth and position themselves on the path of a number of people walking, drop their doors, and they showed that these human beings walked straight into the spaceship because all of them head were down in their cell phone, just following each other in front. I think the cartoon was trying to show how people don't even know what's going on in their life. And the spaceship closed doors and took off. And I think one of the things that they said, the cartoon said in it, is, boy, coming and capturing earthlings, coming very easy. Before you had to fight to capture the earthling. Now you just have to just doors right where they're walking. They walk like zombies. Monica, good evening to you. All right. What time is it now? Let's make sure that we spend time. All right. So those who just joined us, fobbing is what we're talking about. Where your cell phone, you become so preoccupied with it that you ignore the person in your relationship. Your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your teacher, your boss, and sometimes the boss fob staff. We're going to talk about that. So we interrupt our conversation, talking nice, talk going down with people, and your phone rings and you take the call. You could call back the person, but you have to call. It's almost compelling to take the call. You're scrolling through Facebook while you're in company with other people. You see young people snub each other, fob each other, phone snub each other. Sometimes you have a family get together, and all the cousins get together in one part of the room, not talking to each other, while enjoying each other's company in silence. All of them on the phone. Fobbing. You get around the table, and instead of a conversation taking place, you're fobbing. The only time that people learn not to fob is that immigration in Miami and Florida and some of those places, they do not mess with fobbing. They make sure they pay attention to what's going on. They put away their cell. Better believe that. So, it is rude, it is irritating, and it destroys quality relationships. I want to know that. It is rude to be on your cell phone while somebody is talking. It is irritating. So some of you right now probably on your cell phone listening to me, and there must be somebody who's talking to you. Yeah? So you have a choice. Either ask them for an excuse, you're on the Mike at Night program, and could you have the conversation after Mike at Night, which is at 9 o'clock, or you need to shut down Mike at Night, which I hope you do, and go and see. Parents of children, they are on the cell phone, busy. Child is hungry, calling for their attention, want to play, and no, that parent is busy. It's disrespectful, says Joy. Absolutely. All right. So, yes, Yeslam Al Sagaf. I know I'm not pronouncing that word right. The name of that author wrote a book, The Psychology of Fobbing. And inside of that book, here's who gets fobbed from his research. The people closest to you are the ones that most likely will get fobbed more frequently and who you will automatically fob without thinking twice. Yes? So, the closest people to you are the people right around you in your family. We trivialize and we treat them, we take them for granted. That's what that study says. Then he says the next group of people is your friends. So first is your family, your wife, your husband, your children, your parents. But next is your friends get fobbed. And I think that the writer of this is saying in this order. Anne Marie says, let me see what Ken is saying. It has become an extension of vital organ to any human bodies. Yes, because we always have it on us. In our pockets, down our brassiere, yep, in our handbags, it's always near us. We cannot do without it almost. If we leave it home, we turn back to get it. Anne Marie said, but this happens even among professionals. Check those workplaces. Absolutely. Yeah. And all levels of profession. I think that they need to take it away from some profession. Probably the people like pilots need to air traffic controllers. Because you would hate to know that somebody is so distracted watching video and watching Netflix or scrolling through Facebook on a flight is slightly off course, and the air traffic controller never saw it to alert the pilot that the pilot is going into the course of another plane. Right? So, and he said, one night I was driving home and a man was crossing the road on a green light while reading something on his phone. What do you call that? Foolish. That's what I call that. I hope you got it. I hope that answered your question. Why lose your life for that? What is it that would prevent you from just closing that cell phone and dealing with it after you've crossed the road? Because it becomes urgent. And that also leads to some other things that we're going to talk about, the anxiety attack that some people get that is caused by the cell phone because we become almost anxious. You look at your child, a child that you gave a cell phone or a tablet, etc., and you take back that cell phone or tablet from the child and see how that child goes into a frenzy, almost like an attack of some sort. They throw themselves down on the ground. They can hardly restrain themselves and to demonstrate how angry they are that it has been taken. Anxiety issues, just as Simon Sinek said. Yes. So first is your family going to be fobbed, then your friends going to be fobbed, then then you have the people in your work, etc., going to be fobbed. Sandra said, I saw a couple leaving the movies one night. I didn't know they were a couple until he eventually looked around and realized she wasn't walking beside him and but trailed some distance behind while he had been walking ahead engrossed on his phone. Yeah, absolutely. That they start to separate and did not recognize that the person wasn't walking step with you. Anne Marie said, I find it so disrespectful. You are trying to have a conversation and the person has his or her head buried in the device. Okay. Yes. So these are the things they said. Young people fob older persons more often than older persons fobbing young people. I'll tell you how bad it is. There's a young girl who came to me and said that she wanted employment. She was unemployed and it was frustrating her. She had things to do. She had some needs, hygiene and otherwise, and she asked me if I could help her get a job. So I called an employer. I called a business that I and admitted that they were not hiring at the time, but having heard the situation and the need, they said I'll give them. So they willing to take the post. So within 24 hours, the person was now employed. Started work the morning, 8 o'clock. So by 11 o'clock that same morning, I understand that the girl was fired. Now that she started work the 8 o'clock, by 11 o'clock she's fired. So I asked the employer, "Oh, what would cause you to fire somebody in a matter of how many hours? 3, 4 hours. What reprehensible thing could they do?" Well, the employer said that the person was constantly on their cell phone. While customers waited for service, this person always either taking a call, sharing things on their cell phone, etc. And the customers started to complain, and the employer spoke to her and said, listen, this is a service industry. You've got to give your full attention to. My understanding is, not too long again, the person was back on their cell phone. And the employer spoke to them again. But when they had to do it a third time, because you remember they started the first day of the job 8 o'clock. And you have to now talk to them. Said by 11 o'clock, she said, Mike, I was utilizing more time talking to that girl than even running my business. And I wanted to do it to help you out and to help the girl out. Could not do any unemployment. It's an addiction. And what this writer is saying, young people fob more often than people. Older people do fob. In fact, what they also say, not only do the older people fob also, but I found it strange that they said they couldn't find any noticeable difference in fobbing between males and females. Who fobbed more, whether it's male or female? The research could not identify those. Glenda said she wasn't ready for the work. I feel so too. Yeah. Serious addiction. Right, and Mary says it's always way of blocking out someone, especially when there is no interest in your conversation. Ah, okay, Anne Marie. I think yes. Subconsciously, yes. And in some cases, some people willfully do it in order to avoid a conversation with somebody. They just go to their cell phone. Yeah. I tell you. All right. So, what are the messages that this writer of the book, The Psychology of Fobbing, what are the messages that people get when they fob? Who are fobbed? What is the message they get? So the research said when parents are preoccupied with their phone, this is what the children get from that. They felt that the parent was not interested in them. Sometimes the child bring in things for the parent to see. They might have drawn something, scribbled something in their own scribbling way, and want to show it to the parent, but the parent is busy on their telephone and may just give a quick glance, yeah, I see it, and they go on back. But the child may come again because the child is trying to get consistent attention and not just this one-off. And the research said that the children felt that the parent was not interested, and it causes the child to feel rejected and disconnected. They have a lower life satisfaction, increased anxiety, and also depression. So sometimes the child becomes very quiet and withdrawn. And you ask the child, you all right? Child says yes. So depression may have started to step in where the child just withdraws and become a recluse, quiet in one corner, saying nothing. That does not mean that they are so quiet and well behaved. It might mean because they have disconnected from you or disconnecting. Second, couples. What is the message couples get? The research said that conflict that come about because of the phone is one of the result of fobbing. That couples keep arguing about this phone business. What you doing on the phone this hour? Why is it you have to be on the phone? Why you don't come into your bed? Both male and female do that. You see? And you come home, you want to have some time to talk to your spouse. Spouse is just down in the cell phone. Some people use it as their comfort. Some people use it as their companion. So the question is that the message you want to send, that you are disinterested in your spouse? And again, because of that, they said that some of the spouses feel excluded from the relationship because whosoever it is you're talking is more important than me. That is why you could talk to them for such long hours. And some people feel less intimate towards their spouse because of that, because they felt rejected. They reduce satisfaction in the relationship itself. So they used to be happy in the relationship, but now they just feel as though this is, you do your thing, I do my thing. We don't really have a relationship. That's what it says. Thirdly, You have fubbing on the job. So you had with the children, you have the couples, and now you have on the job. And or did I say with the couples, jealousy is one of the things that they said come about? The person actually feels jealous of your cell phone, and sometimes jealous of whosoever it is that you spend so much time. Who you talking to? So and so, so and so again, and they eventually feel jealous with that person because that person has so much of your. That's what the research said. So on the job, the employer sometimes is fubbing employee. Employee wants to talk to the boss about certain things, certain stress on the job, certain things they need. Employer don't care. Employer are busy with his business. And so the employee feels disengaged. The employee feels as though they this job doesn't bring satisfaction. And once that starts happening, that employee is going to start coming late. That employee is going to start leaving early. That employee is not going to do much because they don't have much supervision, etc. And then we'll have the employer who is fobbed by the employee. And that also makes the employer feel, I don't have a committed work. And there's a high chance they're going to find a way to constructively dismiss that person or find a good excuse with one good slip up. Tell them, don't come back. Sesame Street. All right. So let me talk about how to quit fubbing just before we run out of time. If you are there and you're listening and you have had problems in fubbing, I want to help you in how to quit fubbing. And I am taking the advice myself. All right, you guys are ready? Take note. All right, so here's one. If you are being fubbed and you are becoming irritated, don't shout and carry on and behave bad and say, oh gosh, put that thing down for a minute and I'm talking to you. Don't carry on like that. Bring it to the attention of the person in a nice way. Excuse me, could I get your attention for 10 minutes? Just be nice about it. Can I just get your attention for 10 minutes? Bring it to their attention. I want to bring it to attention, but if it happens again, you can afford to raise it a second time and say to the person, when you are in that cell phone, often when I'm talking, I feel rejected. I feel that I'm not being heard. Now, notice what I said, is what you feel. Don't make it sound as though the person is doing something to you, because they will defend themselves for that. Even though you figure that that is what is taking place, but saying it doesn't help you. I feel rejected. I feel as though I'm not that important in the discussion. Not you make me feel. That's not what it is about. Because you don't want that kind of accusation. What I feel. Because there's the temptation to move from the essence of the issue that you have, and now you are dealing with where the person feel accused, and the person starts to defend themselves against what you are saying to them. All right? So one, bring it to their attention. Secondly, if it continues, you tell them how you are feeling when it happens. That I feel unloved. I feel ignored. Not you make me feel ignored. Take ownership of your feelings. Thirdly, it might be nice to create ground rules. To tell the person, I know that you need your cell phone and you usually on your cell phone. But when we are talking and we are talking, having a discussion, could you put your cell phone on silent, please? so that we could at least have a full conversation, because then we have to break up the conversation so I don't have a trend of thought. Not when you distracted with your phone, and you start going down the road and start, we start to make accusations again. No, you just deal with it. I lose my trend of thought, and I would like your full ear what I'm saying. And you make the rules. You could also make the rules that if you have to take the phone call, could you just let me know, and so that you just don't take the phone call, and just the person who fobbing, this is a good thing for you to do. Just say, excuse me, this call is over. May I take it, please? Or I would like to take this call, please. Or I need to take this call, please. For the person, because their job may require them to fob you. In this sense, if I am on call, I am a first respondent. I'm a fireman, police, nurse, doctor, whatever it is. And I'm on call and I'm in a discussion. You really don't want me to put my phone on no silent, because you would not like to be in a sick position and need an emergency, and the person who is supposed to be taking the call has put the phone on silent to deal with their spouse. So at least go with the rules and say, listen, I know you need to take your call, but you are the person who is the fobber. Just explain to them an excuse, and you take your call, and as quickly as possible dispatch the call. Yeah, because at times it is necessary based on the situation. Right, and so those are some of the rules that I think people could deal with. You could also give a rule when you come to the dinner table. Could you leave your phone in the room or in the next room? Could you not come to bed with your phone? All of that. Sounds nice, people? All right. I hope you all would have answered the poll. Yep. Is the poll closed? Let's see if we could get that. We're just down to 2 more minutes. Yep. Let's see if we could find the results for the poll. I hope you all would have answered already. Right. So, my people, tell me whether you all enjoyed tonight. You learned anything. I hope you did. Because I really want, when we do these things, that you all are able to learn something, gain something new. There's a lady who was on the last time that we spoke, and I promised her that I would have a program with her, and so I'm hoping that we have her on next Thursday. Depending on how things. All right, so people, tell me, did you learn anything tonight? Did you gain anything from the program? Did you enjoy the program? Just give me a feedback as we wrap up, please. Just want to know what's going on. All right, so have you been guilty of robbing? 32% of people said yes. 68% of people said no, they have not robbed anybody. All right. 32% said yes. 68%. Based on the research these people saying, that number cannot be right. There are some people not being genuine in the answer. Yep, I am telling you. So, yes, Anne-Marie said very informative. Deanne Robinson said making it a priority as though it's part of your life. Yep, that is it. Glenda said she learned a new word. All right, wonderful. Okay. All right, so we're down to the hour. Thank you all very much for being on Mike at Night. Share the information to others and tell them to join us next week Thursday. We will be bringing it down. I think next week Thursday might be either next week Thursday or the Thursday after. We should bring it down for the year, and then we'll start it back next. Candy said, yes, I certainly learned a new term and be more self-aware when I am using my phone. Yes, Candice, and I know that there's a friend of yours you would like to be more self-aware also. Yep, I'm sure that you will want that friend to know that they need to put down their cell phone more often. Okay, people, thank you all very much. Sydney Jones is our director behind the scenes who has been doing an immaculate job. And once again, we want to thank him so very much. Joy said it's informative. Lenora Moses said very interesting topic. Guilty sometimes. We'll try to discontinue such. Yep. Yep, we all need to. We all need to. And let not the cell phone ruin our relationship. There's a song, but then because Facebook usually blocks songs whenever you're on it, there's a song, "This telephone thing mashing up my life." Yeah. Talks about how cell phone gets between himself and his, and people dig up on the cell phone, and the cell phone calls so many call names, and I would wish good night to all people. Bring us down to the end of the program. Mike at Night. My name is Michael Stewart. See you all next week, Thursday, 8 p.m. God bless you all now. All the best.
Don't let the weather of the day dictate your pace. I stayed cool every time I got into my vehicle, and you can too. At Tow School Center of 31 Gaskin Bay Road, Bonaccord, they specialize in auto air conditioning with parts and services catering to your car's needs. Call and ask for tows at 660-8777 or 788-3535. Tow School Center, where a comfortable ride is a cool ride.
Hey, if you are having difficulty in your marriage or in your relationship and you need someone to speak with privately and confidentially, then call me, Michael Stewart. We can do face-to-face or virtually any part of the world. If your relationship is worth saving, call 868-688-5363 or go to my website www.michaelatstewart.com. Don't wait until it's too late. Get counseling.